white nationalist groups in Canada are coming out of the shadows.
So this is a CBC visual investigation that they released a couple of days back about the new far-right fight clubs that have been cropping up in Canada. I think I don't know if they'll talk about it, but I'm pretty sure there was one in Ottawa. And if they don't mention it, I'm going to be kind of intrigued.
And they're building their combat skills.
These new groups are part of a global movement, calling themselves active clubs. In Canada, they have links to terrorist groups and extremist militia-like organizations. And they try to hide where they are. They blur their faces and hide their surroundings. We dug through their social media channels and investigated hundreds of videos and images posted by these groups to reveal who they are and where they train.
Well, let's go see what this group has to say.
If you've never heard of an active club, it might seem harmless. Who doesn't want to be active, right? In reality, they recruit white people to tribe and train. Basically, they're fascist fight clubs, and they're on the rise around the world. In Canada, this movement overlaps with violent terror groups. Take Atomwaffen Division. It was a neo-Nazi group linked to multiple murders in the US. It was listed as a terrorist entity in Canada in 2021. That's when many former members joined active clubs. And as we're about to show you, there's a bit of a theme here.
This is probably one of the fastest growing far-right extremist threats in Canada.
Now, these groups say they're not looking for fistfights in the streets, yet they often refer to a looming global conflict and a time when civility will be unnecessary.
These are people that in many cases are training for what they believe is to be an upcoming race war. The potential for violence and the potential for something catastrophic to happen is extremely high.
One of the main groups behind this masked demonstration in Toronto is Nationalist 13, or NS13, based out of Hamilton, Ontario. Members are open about their views. In this video from NS13's Telegram channel, one of their members poses with a Nazi lighter. On Hitler's birthday, the group called him one of the greatest men to ever live, saying, "One day we will see his vision come true."
So in a post like this, even though there may be no mention of the Jewish people, when they're referring to Jews, and in this particular case, anti-Semitism would clearly fall within the scope of the criminal code prohibition.
So you think this is hate speech?
Yeah, I think a lot of what's said in the posts that you provided me with would constitute hate speech under the criminal code.
And these stickers that they put up in Hamilton's parks say National Socialists, Nazis. And here's where we find another link to a terrorist group.
The Canadian Proud Boys disbanded in 2021 after they were designated a terrorist entity.
Following the January 6th US Capitol riot. This is Brandon Lapointe. We find him wearing a Proud Boys shirt in multiple images.
He's now a prominent member of NS13.
And we match his tattoos, rings, and his shorts in this image posted by the group. We locate where they've been in Hamilton, in city parks, like Myrtle Park, here. You can see that this building matches exactly. We went to this location and every other to confirm ourselves. They've been sparring in broad daylight, like in this video from Gage Park in Hamilton. You can see the bathroom
Hamilton
here
again.
and dome here match.
Yeah, the skate park. Oh, shoot. And that's even closer towards the children's garden specifically. Ugh, that's really upsetting to see. Yeah, I think it's a serious public safety concern. The rise of extremist organizing is a national security threat.
So public parks are one thing, but we also find them in privately owned gyms, which they try to hide by obscuring the images they share. Nationalist 13 have a ton of pictures at this gym, with members often sparring or posing in the boxing ring. In another photo from the gym, this NS13 member is wearing a Will to Rise shirt. Will to Rise is a clothing brand that markets itself to active clubs. There aren't many clues visible in these videos, but we spot this one. In this video, you can see the edge of this boxing glove decal here.
It matches up with this promotional video for Amazing Fitness, a popular and family-owned gym in downtown Hamilton.
Jesus.
The ring and the windows match too. And
Hamilton
upstairs
again.
in the weightlifting section, this portion of the wall matches exactly the area behind the man in the Will to Rise shirt. Remember Brandon Lapointe, the NS13 member we identify? Here he is at Amazing Fitness. So we drive to the gym to share our findings. The manager says he had no idea this was happening. A few days later, he sends an email and tells us, "We have no affiliation whatsoever with these individuals or ideology, and we categorically reject any form of hate or discrimination."
The fact that the gym owner doesn't know that they were training doesn't surprise me at all. It just goes to show how manipulative these groups are, that they are going to lie about what they're doing.
I'm very impressed by this. I didn't know how because I didn't realize they were like doing some like triangulation stuff to figure out like by little symbols in the background. This is some real good
Now, let's switch
shoe
gears for a
leather
second.
reporting.
Besides Nationalist 13, there's a new group called Second Sons.
Or I guess you don't have to
Second
do that
Sons
much
doesn't
shoe
call
leather,
themselves an active
but
club.
you gotta have people on
They
the
have
ground
the same
doing it.
MO. It's an offshoot of Diagolon, a group that's on the radar of Canadian law enforcement, which considers them an extremist militia-like organization. And Second Sons and Nationalist 13, they actually know each other. This is Alex Friend, a prominent member of Diagolon and now Second Sons.
We're doing a great space with the guys from Nationalist 13.
Vrend is also an open white supremacist.
It's very simple. No Jews. No Jews.
Here's Vrend posing in a gym
ferryman.
that we identify as Hammer BJJ by matching up the wall padding and light switch
Heard of
with
this dude
images from
before.
social media. We drive there too to talk to the owner. This is Rob Barham, the owner of Hammer BJJ, and he says he had no idea this happened at his school.
I don't affiliate myself with any sort of white supremacy groups or any sort of supremacy from any faction, any race, any culture. I have a firm policy that I don't want those types of behaviors or those types of energies in this place. I'm trying to protect that and trying to foster into something good for the kids of the community that can come here and better their life.
This is something we're seeing happen across the martial arts community, is this kind of insidious growth of far-right influence within it. And to see something that is so positive to me and many other people being co-opted like this, it's not something I like to see.
Second Sons also posted a photo that they say is from Hamilton. But that's not accurate. This photo is actually from Niagara, from this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, Niagara BJJ Well. Again, we go and share our findings. They told us they didn't know Second Sons had been training there, and now that they know, they're not welcome there anymore.
Wait. Oh wait, never mind. Who's the other? Oh no, I was thinking of the Queen of Canada lady. I was like, wait, is she involved in this too? Who's that one chick who calls herself the Queen of Canada? No, because I'm just gonna get the actual former queen. This lady. She's been riding around in her Winnebago. Yeah, Romana Diddalo. Riding around in a Winnebago,
You will receive
scamming
Not
people
one,
and telling them
but
not to pay
two.
their taxes.
bullets on your forehead.
And you're also threatening public officials just directly with assassination.
I spotted
And like
someone,
any good
and
cult,
they
they're
actually
just
had their
finding
phone,
abandoned
and they were taking
buildings to
pictures.
squat it.
They probably have 1,000 pictures of me.
How does that make you feel?
Awful. It's like I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, for months.
So yeah, they're because there was an Ottawa Active Club, and I'm trying to that was the other part where where is it? There it is. Rachel Gilmore, independent journalist. She is. I'm mad about. I don't. I was gonna say, is she? I was gonna be like, is she mad? Is that? But from her own words, a little bit upset about the reporting we've just seen. Which I'll say before I've already watched this. She has a little bit of a point. This is a tendency of the CBC that they have displayed in other instances.
CBC just dropped this huge investigation today. An investigation that exposes something I've been reporting on for like well over a year. To the point that the screenshots in their story are the same ones in this YouTube video I posted a week ago. Here's another one from the CBC story, and here it is on my report that touches on the same group from 2024. In fact, the two groups that they focus on in their piece are ones that I have covered extensively, which has led to them posting about me a lot. And have even tried to use my reporting to make themselves look cool, I guess.
Finds active clubs as, quote, white nationalist extremist groups that emphasize physical fitness and hand-to-hand combat skills, and they appear to have ties to and gather publicly
I don't know if this is
with members
what's
of
going.
other
Oh,
Canadian
okay.
active clubs. And they're
Maybe
not
it's just the
subtle
loading,
about
but
the
I was just
nature of what
laughing
they're
at
doing.
how like the
Meanwhile,
videos they get like increasingly more mangled because they've been like copied and downloaded and re-downloaded over and over again till they're at like 10p, not 1080, just 10p.
while they're getting more and more organized in really concerning
There's
ways.
4 pixels in that video left.
And here is the part where I get annoyed.
Yeah, it's
I'm really glad
1
they
p.
reported this story.
The P
It's an
stands for
incredibly
potato.
important topic, and there's some really good investigative work in it. Like, a major point of the story is that they actually point out where these guys are gathering, and I haven't previously reported that. But the existence of these groups themselves have been something that myself and investigative journalist Peter Smith have extensively covered. And they didn't
I was gonna say their reporting was a little bit more, did go a little bit deeper than that, but
even acknowledge my journalism. You couldn't even mention the reporting I've done on this for like an extremely long time that has resulted in great personal risk. Like, you guys are doing this story for a major media outlet. And I've already been exposing these groups as an independent female journalist with none of the protections that come with working for an outlet like this. The men who do this use my videos and likeness every time I speak about them. These guys show up in my comment sections, in live streams, in everything, just harassing me. They've threatened me. They've said all kinds of stuff that is just horrific because I did exactly what you're doing here. I know that this could seem petty, but I need you to understand what a huge difference it makes in your career as an independent journalist when you get credit for the stories you break. Through not even referencing my previous reporting on a topic that I've been covering.
And I don't know if this is she's not. And it's like, this is not even just about this story. This is a thing I experienced when I was working at a local newspaper in Wakefield, where there'd be stories I had been covering for a while in the local community, and then all of a sudden it appears on CBC. And there's no reference of like the previous reporting that had happened about it. And especially when the story would come out 1 or 2 days after my story was published. And I've heard this from plenty of other independent or like local journalists where the CBC will do this, and it's like, well, it just, and because of the size of the CBC's platform, it's just like, well, then then the CBC gets to be the one who made it a story, even though you've been doing the legwork and the actual groundwork. But because it until all of the eyeballs are on it from the CBC, it's not a story, and it can be very very annoying, to say the least. So, yeah.
For an extended period of time, they're erasing
And it's for sure something the Hilltop, I do it when I report on stuff where it's like, if it's been reported before and it's something I learned about specifically from someone else's reporting, 100% I'm putting it, I'm going to link to it.
It. And CBC kind of has a bad habit of doing this to a lot of independent journalists, because I'm not the only one who has covered this issue. Like, this is an investigation in collaboration with the Fifth Estate. As someone who makes my living off of subscribers and off of my name, it really would have made a difference if I just got the tiniest shout out. You guys should definitely read the piece. It is really good. But the two groups that they focus on are groups I have been covering for like a really long time. And I've got the screen recordings of the threats they've leveled at me to prove it.
I don't care what happens to you. If you got gang to death by Indian migrants in the street, I would laugh. I wouldn't even stop them. I would just stand there and go, well, nature's a playground, isn't it?
Such a pleasant character.
Anyway, sorry to
Jeremy
vent. I just
Mackenzie is, isn't he?
was really upset when I saw this.
Why do you think CBC does it? I think it's just sort of like I don't know. I think it's just so they don't have to link out to other sources, or they just don't do it. Even if you they're I think it's just they sort of have to go out and do it and just do redundant reporting so that they can say that they found it out themselves and stuff. It's just, I think it's just an unofficial, we don't link to non-CBC stories unless it's sometimes if it's the Globe and Mail or the National Post or Canadian Press, for sure. But if it's anything sub that, if it's an independent journalist or a local outlet, they don't usually. They very rarely do.
Work really hard on my journalism, and
it's just because they don't have to.
I think that these crediting issues are ones that impact a lot of people, and I've screwed it up before too, but I'm not just going to take it lying down. What do you think of all this?
And not to continuously beat up on the CBC, but they also didn't have a great day today either. Because we've got new developments in the Travis Dhanraj, lawsuit. But yeah, so we had a leaked audio from Travis Dhanraj in a disciplinary meeting with the CBC following his tweet, I think from last year after the budget came out. Where he said he had requested an interview with then CBC CEO Catherine Tate to discuss the CBC's funding. Yeah, real mystery. Who could have leaked this audio?
The new budget funding.
I wonder who possibly could have recorded this audio. We'll never know. And it's such a difficult thing to guess at. Who possibly could have recorded this and provided it to the National Post? But this is from the interview, and I mean, you can poo-poo how this audio got out, but with what little audio is provided, because it does say it's not the entire meeting, and the meeting may not have just been about this, but this part does not look good for the CBC.
The new budget funding was publicly put out in the budget on Tuesday. It was widely reported on by not only the CBC, but other broadcasters.
This is the audio.
There's nothing in the tweet that is insider information.
A perception of a unionized employee criticizing their employer. It is an employee who has a personal stake in the matter, whose job is part of it. And
yeah, but I've listened to this audio.
Could or could not be based on information that you know as an employee. So the issue is, does
Yeah, I've listened to this so many times, and I cannot. I'm full like from. I know it's we don't have the full context, but from just what I've heard, I'm on the same level of I don't understand what they're trying to say the problem with this tweet was. And yeah, that whole thing they just said, like, let's go back to. So the perception
of a
of a
unionized
unionized employee criticizing their employer.
It is an employee who has a personal stake in the matter, whose job is part of it. And that tweet could or could not be based on information that you know as an employee.
Like, are they trying to imply he was like trying to do like use insider information to harm the CBC's financial standing? I've listened to this so many times. I do not get it. And maybe that's kind of the point.
So the issue is, does this post meet the standards of integrity? Does it meet the conflict of interest and the code of conduct?
Yeah.
Those are the questions.
And I
mentioned that it's a union employee criticizing their employer. Somehow, like, that's a conflict?
That it does.
And, like, here's the thing. Just based on the tweet, full respect to Dhanraj for that. That took just even without the tweet, just making the request. You can say whether or not it was advisable. We won't get into like conflict. I don't think it's a conflict of interest for him to make the tweet. Was it? Could you argue it wasn't advisable because it's poking the bear? Maybe. I don't know if I agree with that. But as far as like journalistically, absolutely. And I think there is journalistic merit to tell the public that an anchor on CBC requested an interview with the CEO of the Broadcaster Corporation about the budget specifically and the CBC's budget, and they said no. Like saying we requested an interview and they declined is a basic part of reporting.
Do you understand the concern with this post as it relates to the principle of integrity?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really don't. I don't. And again, Andre, like I find it problematic that we are in a meeting where we are discussing something that is in the interests of the corporation. So I'm not seeing the separation right now between the journalism and the interest of the corporation. I see how it would be in the interest of the corporation for this tweet not to be out, but I don't see how journalistically it's not sound.
Very good point.
That's the kind of like disconnect that I'm having right now.
CBC, the corporation. That's a bad tweet to me. That's why I would say it's like maybe not advisable because you're going to piss off your employer. But that's why I respect it. As a journalist,
I just want to get some clarity on something here. Because this tweet came out of a request for an interview that came from the team for the show, and so I didn't watch the show that night. So was there coverage of the budget, or was there going to be coverage of the budget, or was that not part of the?
We had an editorial discussion, which
the
was part of, and the entire team was part of, as to whether or not now was the correct time.
He probably
since there was a significant development with the release of the federal budget and the new money, to put a request in for Catherine Tate. We had been discussing putting in a request in for some time. and we thought that there was a news hook to it because of the new development. So that's when the green light was given by and it was a team consensus that we would put this request in. And it was delegated that task.
Is that good, Ryan?
What?
So
Just
is that
dead
good,
air.
Ryan? So
This is such a weird call.
let me answer that.
Because the aspect of it where it's like the CBC didn't want right-wing voices on the show, I find a little bit suspicious, considering for about 2 years, David Cochrane ended Power and Politics with, "We requested a conservative to come on the show, but no one was made available." And I think like people like Lisa Raitt, Kate Harrison, I would say Tim Powers, but I already got him in trouble for calling him a conservative. So I guess if you're a conservative on the CBC currently, you don't count. So the question is like, who specifically were the conservative voices that were not allowed to be brought on the broadcaster?
We talked about the protocols, considerations when CBC journalists. Well, maybe I haven't. What's your understanding of the protocol and considerations when CBC journalists are covering the CBC?
It's the JSP statement again.
Clear editorial separation.
Clear editorial separation. Yeah.
Yeah, clear editorial separation.
So those who have the interest of the corporation should not be influencing reporters.
Yes. How did that tweet contravene that?
Yeah. And if that is happening, that kind of goes against
because it kind of feels like the meeting is what's doing
fundamentals of the public broadcast.
So other aspects of the DSP, as I mentioned, which is that principle of integrity and the perception of who has a stake in the market.
Who has a stake in the market?
Reveal a perceived impartiality, because as I mentioned, you are employed and you're criticizing your employer.
Yeah, so that goes. The concern about impartiality and whether he has a stake in it would be whether or not he's choosing not to criticize his employer because they're his employer, and he's probably worried that if he does that, he might lose his job. The fact that he's willing to criticize his employer in the face of losing his job, or as the case may be, being unable to lose his job because he's resigned, and apparently the CBC still has not accepted his resignation, which also still baffles me. I don't know what that's about, unless it's some sort of contract negotiation fight. But it's again, whole thing is baffling. And the CBC did not exactly that's probably what it is. It's like, if it's like his non-compete, and probably like if he resigns or whatever, there's some sort of severance package, or like, I don't know the details, but it's probably something some mundane legal contract negotiation fight. I don't know if it's, but yeah, it's not great. It's not great.